one additional distinction between public relations in Japan and, say, public relations in the United States. One distinction is this, is that there is, I'll put it on the board, by the way, okay? The way we define public relations in this class is not the way it's defined in Japan in reality, okay? I mean, when I mean definition, I mean the way it is used in Japan. In Japan, according to this article, there's what we call a co-mingling. I'm going to write it on the board in a second, okay? A co-mingling of public relations and advertising. Really, it should be a co-mingling of advertising and public relations. In other words, in Japan, of advertising and public relations, there is a co-mingling. Now, the key word is this, okay? And if you don't like this word, that's fine. You can throw this word out. It simply means the mixing up or the blending of. The mixing up or the blending of public advertising and public relations. They are so blended, so mixed, that the distinction between them in reality is blurred. That's the point I'm making here. Oh yeah. In Japan, advertising seems to be clearer because most people tend to understand what advertising is all about. Okay, this is an advertisement for a refrigerator. This is an advertisement for a car. This is an advertisement for enrolling at Temple University, Japan. So it's so clear, okay, what advertising is all about. But when it comes to public relations, people tend to see public relations as, it becomes a little fuzzy. It's not clear. It becomes so fuzzy that we tend to think, oh man, it's just an appendage. It's just a subset of advertising. So that co-mingling exists in Japan, and that's not good because in reality they are different. There are different activities. There are different functions. Advertising, we know in class, you and I know, is simply paid for messages. One more time. Paid for messages. Self-sponsored messages. Paid for and used by the media. Television, the blogs, internet, radio, magazines, newspapers. Paid for, that's advertising. Public relations is not that narrow. Bless you. Public relations involves a whole lot of things, not just advertising. In fact, there is a form, we know in class that there's a form of public relations that is called public relations advertising. A good example, obviously, is what we call the institutional advertising or the corporate image advertising. Okay, we know those things, okay? So, in this class, at least as far as we can tell, and again, that is why we need a group of folks young folks like you who, when you graduate from Temple University, Japan, can start thinking of making a difference in terms of how you can try to improve the advertising practice in your homeland. Try to improve the practice. There is a difference between public relations and advertising. No doubt there's some relationship between them, but that relationship should not take away from the fact that there's a distinction between X and Y. But in Japan, we tend to look at it more as advertising, and public relations are just an appendage to advertising.